Chris.
Jason, we're going to go in a moment here to the Central Okanagan Regional District, but you raised something that I think is really apropos, which is that this situation is touching everyone in Kelowna, that everybody knows people on evacuation order, on evacuation alert. I talked to a friend earlier tonight who has chickens he's trying to move. My son wanted to make sure his stuffed animals were packed and ready to go. So this really is a situation that's affecting the entire region, not just people in West Kelowna. Let's go first now to Laura Wilson, who is with the Central Okanagan Regional District and I believe is at the Emergency Operations Center. Laura, good evening.
Hi there, Chris. How are you this evening?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for joining us. What's the latest?
Well, we have just released further evacuation orders in the West Kelowna area. This is for evacuations from Sailview Bay, Raymer Bay, Bear Creek, Provincial Park, and Traders Cove that have been now put under evacuation order due to the McDougall Creek wildfire.
Okay, that's a pretty good stretch of shorefront. How many properties are you talking about here?
Yeah, so we actually currently have 5,575 properties on evacuation alert, which these are properties that need to be ready to get up and go at any given moment. And we also have 1,011 properties who are currently on order now. And these are properties that need to have left their property by now.
If people have not left, or if people are not getting the message, are there people going door to door in those areas, emergency officials knocking on doors?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have emergency personnel throughout the whole area. We are asking people to, if they are on evacuation order, to leave promptly. This really helps our first responders as they respond to this wildfire. We are asking them to register with ESS and just figure out how we can get some supports to them. These are all ways that we help come together as a community to fight this fire.
We'll talk more about the ESS here in a moment, but is there an emergency operations center that people can go to as their first point of contact?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have an emergency response center that is available in West Kelowna. Okay. It's at the Royal LePage place at 2760 Cameron Road. That's a place that they can go and register, and they can find out what options are available for group lodging if needed.
Okay, and then emergency social support, if people need places to stay, I can imagine that hotels will be filling up, obviously friends and family coming into play, but if people are kind of bereft, what can they do?
Yeah, unfortunately, of course, being a busy tourist season, we know that there is a lot of, there's very little capacity in the area. We are encouraging people to reach out to their friends and family to see if there's places for them to stay. However, if you aren't able to find something or secure something for the evening, we would encourage you to go to Royal LePage.
Just wanted to reinforce that we're here to support you. You can go to cordemergency.ca. That's CORD emergency.ca. There's also a telephone number on the website that if you need to talk to somebody in person, you can get a hold of somebody at our call center. And we wish you well and just let you know that we're here to support you. It'll just be a couple of more minutes until the rest of the group's ready. So if you don't mind pausing, we'll be right back in a short bit.
First thing that people can do is go to cordemergency.ca, which is our local emergency website. They can register for our e-updates to get any further evacuation orders or alerts will be sent out immediately through that. So that's one way they can keep up to date. We know we have a very active fire tonight, and this is something that is important that we're ready to go if we need to, even in the middle of the night.
Laura, I wonder if I can ask you about coordination with other agencies, the Westbank First Nation, the City of West Kelowna. There is infrastructure, there are overlapping jurisdictions. How are you talking to other governments to make sure that everybody's on the same page?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really strong coordination here in Central Okanagan, and we work together, all of our municipalities and First Nation partners. This is something we do coordinate together. We have representatives here in the EOC from all of those jurisdictions, as well as others who have come to pitch in and help. So it's really important. Of course, personal safety is, of course, the utmost importance. And of course, we have to look at protecting critical infrastructure as we deal with these interface fires as well.
And we may have more conversations about that tonight and in the coming days. Laura, thank you very much. We may connect with you later this evening. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Laura Wilson speaks for the Central Okanagan Regional District. Once again, if you need information about whether your property is on evacuation alert or order, your first point of contact is cordemergency.ca. cordemergency.ca. As Laura said, there are now just over 5,500 properties on evacuation alert, just over 1,000 properties on evacuation order. Those orders just expanded to include Sailview Bay, Traders Cove, and Bear Creek Park. There is an interactive map on the Central Okanagan Regional District website. You can search your address and find out if your home is on alert or order. We will keep you posted in the next hour or so if those orders expand. We're heading now to our Brady Strachan, reporter here in Kelowna, who's been in West Kelowna for most of the day. Brady, good evening.
Hello, Chris.
What's the latest from you?
I'm here at Fire Hall 30 in West Kelowna. We're just waiting for a press conference from the mayor of Kelowna. Fire Chief Jason Brolin is going to be here. Officials are going to be updating us on the fire. So they're a bit delayed here on that, but we're waiting to find out what kind of updates there are. Everything from the evacuation orders, which increased dramatically in size late afternoon. And we're hoping to find out, of course, about the fire behavior as everything we've seen from the smoke coming up over the ridge in West Kelowna is that it's burning very furiously there, putting up a ton of smoke. And so we'd like to find out how fire crews are tackling it.
Brady, you mentioned the fire coming over the ridge in West Kelowna. That will make people a little more nervous if you can see flame. Do we have a sense of where the boundary of this fire is right now?
I don't exactly have that, and I should clarify, we saw a little bit of flame up on one of the ridges. There's many ridges here, so and I'm not going to try to identify them all.
No.
But we were able to see a little bit of flame on top of one of the ridges. For the most part, it's just been heavy smoke, and you can tell that earlier in the day they told us it was 300 hectares. I haven't seen an update on that, but clearly from the way the amount of smoke that is coming up and from how wide of an area it is covering, it has expanded exponentially in size. So I imagine we'll get an update. Obviously it's concerning enough that they made the decision to start tactical evacuations in the Rose Valley area and the Bartley Road area. We heard that RCMP officers were going door to door telling people to leave, and then the official order came out, which I'm sure you've spoken about. It's more than 800 homes now on the evacuation order. So we started the day with about 5,000 on alert. Here we are an hour or two ago with 800 on order and 5,000 to 6,000 on alert. So just shows how quickly things have progressed here during the day.
Absolutely right, Brady. Thank you very much. We'll reconnect with you a bit later in the hour.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
CBC reporter Brady Strachan in West Kelowna. We're awaiting a press conference in West Kelowna with emergency officials. As Brady mentioned, that is delayed a little bit. Jason, we are hoping that people can join us on the line. 1-888-662-6628 is the number to call. You can email us, daybreakkelowna@cbc.ca. And Jason D'Souza, who's joining me this evening in Victoria, you heard Brady mention how quickly this has grown through the day. When we started our morning show this morning, it was 68 hectares. As you heard Brady say, 300 hectares is the official size now, but that was taken at 11 o'clock. What fire officials do is there's generally a flyover in the morning, one in the middle of the day, and one towards sunset, depending on how thick the smoke is, so they can try to map the boundaries of this fire. The time that I've been in the Okanagan Valley and covering wildfires in southern BC, I've not seen a plume of smoke this close to the city in those years. So this, I imagine, as Brady suggested, will have grown significantly as we get another update.
Absolutely. And of course, unfortunately, no shortage of other examples of just how quickly a wildfire can take a turn for the worst. Also today, we covered extensively the situation in Yellowknife, an entire evacuation of the city. Officials asking residents to leave by noon there. And then if you look down further south to Hawaii, the wildfires that have taken off in, as you say, Chris, just a matter of hours. The other thing that struck me on in terms of programming all this week on impacts of drought and wildfire and the environmental crises that we're in is the lingering memories of past wildfires as well. And as you know, Chris, it was 20 years ago this week that we talked about the Okanagan Mountain wildfire. That's at the second largest evacuation record in Canadian history. So when we talk about wanting to hear from folks, I'd love to hear from you, whether you're on alert, whether you have already had the order issued for your particular resident. I'd love to hear how you're feeling right now, especially if it relates to that idea of thinking back to where you may have been for a previous situation similar to this. So as Chris mentioned, those numbers, that number once again, 1-888-662-6628. That's 1-888-662-6628. You can also email us at any point, daybreakkelowna@cbc.ca. All one word, daybreakkelowna@cbc.ca, Chris.
Jason, this morning we talked to another Jason Brolin, the fire chief in West Kelowna, who sounded very worried, even early this morning, about the next 48 hours. And officials in a press conference earlier today, a provincial press conference, said these next 48 hours could be the hardest of the entire fire season. A strong cold front is sweeping down from the south of the province, turning weather systems on their heads. It's windy now here in Kelowna, the possibility of dry lightning as well. Shaylee Stern is on the line with us this evening. Shaylee is a fire information officer with the Kamloops Fire Centre, the team overseeing the West Kelowna fire. Shaylee Stern, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
What's the latest information you have on the scale, the size, and the activity of this fire?
Yeah, so the McDougall Creek wildfire is now estimated at 1,100 hectares in size. So we have definitely seen some significant growth throughout the day in the last 24 hours with this wildfire. And the growth that we're seeing is largely driven by the wind and weather conditions that we're seeing, coupled with obviously the extreme drought conditions that the area is also under right now. So as we move into the next, as you mentioned, the further 24 hours here, we're going to monitor that weather that we're seeing on the ground and the activity, and it's an evolving and dynamic situation, and everything is continuously assessed throughout the day and as the weather plays onto the impact of this fire.
Now, a lot harder to assess things when it's dark. How will you make sure that you're on top of the fire behavior as the sun sets?
Yeah, so it's something that, like I said, crews will monitor on the ground throughout as they work through their operational period. I don't yet have confirmation of how many personnel we'll have on throughout the night, but we've had personnel on throughout the day. We've had 21 personnel responding throughout the day, as well as 4 helicopters and air tankers throughout the day periodically as well, along with our group of skimmers as well that have been actioning the fire and completing objectives along there throughout the day.
And as you move through the night, the winds are obviously a key concern. They're blowing right now from the southwest. That is expected to change and move around to the northwest. Can you explain how that might affect the fire behavior and how concerned fire officials are about that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, this fire is strongly wind-driven. So that's where the resulting of those wind is where we're seeing that growth continue. So as we see that wind shift come in throughout the evening, it's something that crews will adjust tactics and respond to, as well as aerial resources, as long as they're able to respond into the evening here. And it's something that we'll monitor and assess, and we're working closely with the regional district of the Central Okanagan, the City of West Kelowna, and the Westbank First Nation. And any information or changes on evacuations, orders, and alerts would be put out directly through them there.
Well, it's been really good to have an update from you this evening. Shaylee, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Shaylee Stern is a fire information officer with the Kamloops Fire Centre. So just to reiterate some of the information that Shaylee brought to us, that fire, now the McDougall Creek fire, now estimated at 1,100 hectares. That's triple what it was at noon today. There are 5,575 homes on evacuation alert. The evacuation orders moments ago were expanded to include more properties along Sailview Bay, Traders Cove, and Bear Creek Park. Now, just over 1,000 homes on evacuation order. The Emergency Services Center is at Royal LePage Place in West Kelowna. The address is 2760 Cameron Road. And for all of that information and for interactive maps to find out where your property is in relation to evacuation alerts and orders, you can go to cordemergency.ca. The local state of emergency declared by local governments earlier today covers a portion of the Westbank First Nation. Residents of the west side are affected. 13,000 people live in the reserve boundaries, many of them now under evacuation alert and may have to leave at any time. Chief Robert Louis spoke to the CBC's Liam Britton just minutes ago.
Key message is that they have to be on the alert. There are certain segments and areas that are on immediate evacuation alert. And so should the winds change, our residents within the Westbank First Nation need to know that they need to move immediately. So it's all dependent upon the winds right now. So right now the winds are apparently from a westerly, northerly direction. If they change, which it could happen, then it could be a serious situation. But right now, everybody's on alert, and so it's a very serious situation.
Okay, and when they're on alert, what do they need to keep in mind? What do they need to have ready to go?
All their personal belongings, everything that is of value to them, and it will have to be an orderly dispersal of peoples, so you don't congest the highways and all of the things that are kind of like important. That when you start doing evacuations, if that were to happen, right now we're not in that situation, but it's close. They've been notified. And so, as I understand it, each segment of the area will be orderly transition of removals should that occur. Right now, it's wait and see, and it's the wind situation that's determining the direction of the fire.
It sounds like the next 48 hours are going to be critical. What are you watching for?
Right now, the main thing is we're watching the wind. The wind direction is probably the most prevalent, the most important situation. If the wind changes, high-low pressure changes, and it moves the wind, it could easily move it towards the residents, and that would be a very serious situation.
That's Chief Robert Louis of the Westbank First Nation. He added that if the alert does turn into an order, the nation has offered the community center gym as a refuge center. Chief Robert Louis mentioned the wind. Jason D'Souza in Victoria, that's just one of the kind of underlying weather and environmental conditions that have officials so worried.
Absolutely. You know, when you take stock of a wildfire like this, it doesn't just happen. Of course, those underlying situations, the wind can pick it up and absolutely distribute those flames in ways that you couldn't imagine. But there are those underlying aspects at play. Chris, look at the heat that we've seen throughout this summer season so far in the interior of BC, but across the province. We've had so many days where the temperature is over the 30-degree mark. You add to that the drought situation, an unprecedented drought. One that BC has never experienced in modern times. So when you add those together, Chris, of course, it perhaps makes no surprise that the situation is tinder dry. It can change on a dime, and certainly watching for the wind is key right now. I'm just taking a look at the email as well, Chris. We're asking our listeners to give us a sense of what they're seeing, what they're going through right now. We've got a couple of photos that are, I think, for lack of a better way of describing it, apocalyptic. One of an absolutely dark brown sky driving in from Merritt. That one sent to us by Waslet. We got a photo from Randy, who's in Kelowna as well, looking into West Kelowna, an absolutely huge plume of cloud coming out of West Kelowna. I'm cognizant of the fact, Chris, that we are province-wide as well. I'm joining you from Victoria, so perhaps I can ask you if you can just describe what the day has been like in the interior in Kelowna today.
Well, it's been another hot, dry day. The day peaked at, I think, about 36 degrees, but it's been calm. The winds have been calm through the day. Jason, you mentioned the number of days above 30. The number of days above 30 so far this summer has been double the average in Kelowna. That, of course, a key indicator of climate change, according to scientists going back 20 years who have predicted that there'd be more days above 30. And what that does is it just sucks all of the water out of any of the vegetation, any of the fuels on the forest floor, the grasses, the pine trees, and it just makes for kind of an explosive situation in the forests. The day started off with this kind of ominous feeling as this, what was a little tiny, really in the grand scheme of things, a little tiny wildfire kind of way off in the hills. But emergency officials we talked to, fire officials right off the hop knew that this was going to be a problem. And sure enough, it is indeed a problem. We have, as I mentioned, 6,000 properties on evacuation alert, over 1,000 on evacuation order. And I've been talking to people who are trying to get out of that area, people who are on alert who have just decided that they don't want to be at home if that alert changes into an order. So a lot of people who are on evacuation alert are nonetheless moving over the bridge, moving to friends and families, gathering up their possessions, trying to safeguard their homes. And if people are in that situation, firesmart.ca is where you want to go. They have a great last-minute checklist for things you can do around your home if you're leaving. Things like turning off the water, turning off the power, covering up vents on your home, clearing debris away from the sides of buildings, opening wooden gates so the fire can't jump across a gate. Little things like that will reduce the likelihood of a structure succumbing to this fire should it come to that.
And when you talk about being on evacuation alert, earlier in the day, Chris, when we had a province-wide program, we heard from a professor of emergency management about the things to keep in mind, of course. And one of the things that struck me was he said, if you're ever potentially having to leave your home, you should plan to be prepared for at least 72 hours, both in direct supplies, but also in terms of planning. And one of the things you might not keep in mind, top of mind, when you're stressed and having to leave your home is making a communication plan as well. Hopefully the phone lines, as they are right now for this live broadcast, are running and we can communicate with each other through text, through phone calls. But keep in mind that
we'll have a number of speakers who we will pass over to, and then we're happy to take your questions after we've all spoken. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jason Brolin. I'm the Fire Chief of West Kelowna Fire Rescue. I want to thank you all for being here and helping us get the message out, which is a very important one to the public. We knew today was going to be challenging. I started 24 hours ago saying that and spreading word to the public that we needed to treat this fire seriously. All of the predictions we expected came true. The winds that we were forecast arrived, and it proved to be a very challenging day for firefighters and for our community as a whole. This fire has quickly grown. We did expect it to grow quickly, and I don't fail to be amazed by what we're seeing taking place right on the doorstep of our community. I want to give credit to all of the firefighters who are out there. We have firefighters from multiple agencies on the ground today. Our partners at the BC Wildfire Service are delivering in spades for our community, as are structural firefighters, not only from West Kelowna Fire Rescue, but from fire departments across the region. Firefighters were faced with challenging conditions on the fire today. They were removed from their posts on multiple occasions for their own safety. Places could not be found in order to anchor and fight this fire. I'm fortunate to stand alongside my counterpart from the BC Wildfire Service in Unified Command. We are working seamlessly together in order to stop this fire from affecting our community. This is just like we trained, this is just like we practiced for, and now we're putting the plan in place. I am happy to report that there have been no losses so far. I'm also happy to report that there have been no injuries to firefighters. Those are two really positive metrics for me at this point. But that said, I remain gravely concerned for the fire and where it's going and how it's going to threaten our community. Tonight's going to be a difficult night. Our people are out there working hard. We are not giving up. But it's going to be a difficult night for the community. We have close to 2,500 people who I've asked to leave their homes, and we have close to 6,000 who are on evacuation alert. I've asked them to get ready. It will be difficult for them. The fire is going to be very dramatic tonight. As it gets dark, the fire is going to look like it is right on top of the community. It's going to burn well into the early hours of the morning. There'll be glow and huge flames visible along the top of the hill. We're monitoring it constantly, but I need the public to be aware it's going to be dramatic what you see. There will be ash falling in your neighborhoods. There has been for the past 24 hours, so you're going to see that continue. There could potentially be embers falling as well, and that's where we grow very concerned. So we ask the public to be aware and vigilant of that. If they see fires starting in places, report them to 911 immediately. We will come and deal with that. Our fire crews will be out tonight patrolling neighborhoods in order to address those issues as they happen. I mentioned earlier that we are out in the neighborhoods as a fire department. West Kelowna Fire Rescue is on the ground. We also have a night shift coming from fire departments across the region who have all provided trucks and man-person power for us on the ground. So they will be out and about. I'm happy to report that all of the critical infrastructure in the Rose Valley neighborhood has been protected, and that's because of the hard work of the BC Wildfire Service, the structural fire departments who have been supported by the province from around the region. We placed fire sprinklers at the Rose Valley Dam, at the Rose Valley Chlorinator, which is important to our drinking water in the community. Fire sprinklers were placed on the fire hall in Rose Valley. Obviously, that's very important to me to protect. They were placed on Rose Valley Elementary School, a critical piece of infrastructure to our community. And also an all-out effort was mounted to protect the new Rose Valley water treatment plant. That is a very critical and important asset to our community that our firefighters have protected tonight. I mentioned we have close to 1,000 homes on evacuation order, represents about 2,500 people, and close to 6,000 remain on evacuation alert. I want to thank the public for their cooperation. We don't take this lightly. It is very serious to us placing someone on evacuation alert or order, but I want to thank the public for their cooperation. The evacuation so far has been orderly. People have been listening, and we're going to do our best to deal with this and get people back into their homes as quickly as possible. It's likely the evacuation order area will grow tonight. I don't want people to panic, but I also want people to take it seriously. If you haven't been evacuated yet and you are in an alert area, you need to prepare. So gather things together that you need to bring with you. Have a plan with your family and be ready to go on short notice. We've received incredible support from the air today. Despite ground crews being pulled off the fire, our partners from BC Wildfire have provided a ton of air support, but as of now, with the sun setting, that air support is going to end and the fire will burn tonight, largely out of our control. So we'll be watching closely, but we remain at the mercy of the wind. So I want to thank all of our partners, the Wildfire Service, the RCMP, all of the staff that's working at the Emergency Operations Center to support this. Make sure people are fed, make sure that the media is informed and the public is kept up to date. I mentioned tonight is about monitoring the fire and being in the neighborhoods. Tomorrow is a whole new day, and we expect this fire will be much larger tomorrow morning when we get our next update. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. So I want to pass it over to Jason from our ESS program, who will speak about services for the evacuees, and we'll all be available for questions afterwards.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Jason Bedell. I'm the Emergency Support Services Supervisor for Kelowna Fire Department. I'd like to reassure the evacuees and those affected by this wildfire that our ESS volunteers have been activated and are there to support you. We do ask those on evacuation alert and order to self-register, pre-register at ess.gov.bc.ca. It really does help us streamline the process. Our ESS volunteers are set up at an information centre at Royal LePage Place, which is 2760 Cameron Road. We are asking people to connect with their friends and families in an attempt to find places for them to go. Our resources are finite and we are there to support you. But if you can help by finding family and friends to stay with, that again really does help us as we manage this incident. We are looking at the introduction of a group lodging facility somewhere in West Kelowna. People that do not have a place to go with families and friends are asked to attend the information centre to find out more information. People should also please be following courtemergency.ca to find the most latest up-to-date information. Thank you. I'll pass it now to Mayor Milsom. Yep, it's BEDELL.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Gordon Milsom. I'm the mayor of the City of West Kelowna. And I'm going to share some notes that were prepared kindly by my staff. I was out of town myself for some family time, but arrived back around 4 o'clock this afternoon. First and most importantly, we're asking our community to stay safe and out of harm's way with the wildfire. The winds are swift and the fire is moving quickly. Safety is our top priority. Residents should be prepared to be away from their home for an extended period of time in the areas of the McDougall Creek wildfire. If you are in an evacuation order area, you must leave the area immediately. Failing to leave when asked by emergency services put you and others at risk. Thank you for doing your part to keep yourself and those affected by the wildfire safe. We're working together and we need your help. Follow any designated routes specified by emergency officials and avoid shortcuts as they could lead to a blocked or dangerous area. For those on evacuation order, pack your emergency kit and follow the directions to the information center located at Royal LePage Place at West Kelowna, in West Kelowna at 2760 Cameron Road. Look for the signs identifying the McDougall Creek Wildfire Information Center. Information will be provided to evacuees on emergency support services like temporary lodging, food, clothing, and incidentals. It's important to attend the information center so that you can be registered to receive alerts and other information related to your circumstance. I also want to remind everyone to reach out to their out-of-area emergency contact to let them know what has happened and that you're all right and how to contact you. For those that are on an evacuation alert, pack your emergency kit and please get your family ready to evacuate if necessary. Our community is resilient and we thank every one of you for following the alerts and orders. We have cleared our roads that had construction activity to ensure traffic has access through West Kelowna. That includes West Lake Road, Shannon Lake Road, and Boucherie Road. And crews have been doing all they can to protect the Rose Valley Water Treatment Plant and the Powers Creek Water Treatment Plant. And BC Hydro continues to monitor the single transmission power line. Our staff and council is here to help with questions along with the ESS team. So please contact us or come to Royal LePage Place if you're evacuated. Again, thank you for adhering to the orders and stay safe. We'll have ongoing updates together with the EOC over the next number of hours and days. Now I'd like to introduce Westbank First Nation Chief Robert Louis.
Thank you, Mayor Milsom. This is indeed a very serious situation. We're working in unison from the Westbank First Nation and the Kelowna municipality on the west side here to make sure that people are looked after and are safe. This is a very dire, very serious situation. There is no question about the intent of where this fire seems to be going. It is under out of control. So we're working in unison with the regional district, with Mayor Milsom and the Westside community to make sure that we work together. So Westbank First Nation is and has opened its doors to facilities with our gymnasium for evacuees. And we are looking to provide food and support whatever we can. So we are working in unison. So this is a very good complementary showing municipal and First Nation support, and that's what's happening right now. This is the dire situation. There's over 1,000 people that have been evacuated right now, and there's a lot of potential damage that could occur if these winds change. We're totally right now, in my opinion, dependent upon the winds. Right now, they're in our favor. They could change any moment. So we're monitoring that. We're working with the people here. We are very thankful to the fire chief right now and the district. We're working in very significant harmonious relationships to make sure that anything we can do is supported. So you have our commitment from the Westbank First Nation. We're going to be very supportive. We're going to stand behind all the evacuees and do what we can to support this thing. We're standing behind. We're congratulating the hard efforts of all of the firefighters that are working. This is a very significant situation that could complement the 2003 fire that happened in Kelowna. That's how serious this is. I give to everyone that's working, and we stand behind all the firefighters, all of the people here. We'll stand behind whatever we can do as the Westbank First Nations to support you. So we give you our support, and we hope for the very, very best. We pray to the Creator that this will be a situation that we'll overcome. So we'll have to overcome that together. So, light, live, live.
Thank you, Chief Lilly, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to acknowledge that RCMP Inspector Rob Picola is here with us. He'll be available for your questions as well. The work of the RCMP to knock on every door that I asked to be evacuated is nothing short of amazing, and I'm very grateful, Inspector, for that work. So we're happy to take your questions. If you want to just identify which party you'd like to speak to and ask your question, we're happy to answer to the best of our ability.
Yeah, thank you. I have some questions about the West Kelowna Road, the main road out there. Do you have RCMP there helping to direct traffic? I know that road can see a lot of
Yes, thank you. So on the roads that we have, anywhere there's the evacuation order, we do have rolling patrols right now.
Focus on 10 minutes at a time. That was one of the pieces of advice that clinical psychologist Jenny Jerez passed on to us. As you mentioned, Chris, we are taking your calls. We're taking your emails. I just want to read you this email we received from Carla, who wrote to us to say, my son lives in the evacuation area at Traders Cove. Carla also attached a picture, a dash cam footage of this huge plume of smoke coming out of West Kelowna. Once again, we'd love to hear from you over the course of the next 20 minutes. Send us an email. You can attach more photos. We've been getting a whole bunch of those as well. daybreakkelowna at cbc.ca. daybreakkelowna at cbc.ca. Chris.
Jason, I just got a text from a friend who lives in Traders Cove. I was asking him if he wanted to talk on the air, and he said, I need to pack and go. Just saw fire over the hill. And sure enough, he sent a picture with visible flames popping over the top of that ridge above Traders Cove. So people literally on the move in West Kelowna. Just to reiterate some of the emergency information for people who may just be joining us, you're listening to live emergency broadcasting here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Chris Walker here in Kelowna, along with Jason D'Souza in Victoria. If you are in the evacuation alert area and you're not sure whether your property is on alert or order or where you're situated, you can go to cordemergency.ca. That is your first point of contact, cordemergency.ca. An emergency reception center has been set up at Royal LePage Place, 2760 Cameron Road. Officials in West Kelowna tell us they're looking at a possibility of group lodging. I assume that would be opening up an arena or a community center for people to spend the night. The fire right now that we're talking about is called the McDougall Creek fire. It is at 1,100 hectares, growing 1,000% through the day. There are approaching 5,600 properties on evacuation alert and just over 1,000 on evacuation order. Go now to Cody Dunbar, I understand, who's on the line, who lives in Traders Cove. That's the spot where I mentioned those flames were popping up over the ridge. Recently moved here. Cody, good evening. Cody Dunbar, are you with us? We seem to have lost Cody Dunbar. We'll see. Cody, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Cody. Can you tell us about your day?
Hello?
Hi, Cody. Could you tell us about your day?
I'm actually just in the middle of getting evacuated. The fire trucks just showed up and said that we have 5 minutes to leave.
Can you stay on the line with us for a moment?
Yeah.
So what do you see around you? You can just describe what you see in front of you.
We are in Traders. We're in Traders Cove. We're just facing the lake right now, and just like above us is just all smoke.
And what are you packing up? How have you decided what to bring and what to leave?
Essentially, at this point, we're just grabbing the essentials, the stuff that will get us by, and then a couple like more important stuff.
And do you know where you're going, Cody?
Honestly, we have a couple friends that we have the option to go to, but right now we're not entirely sure. I have a dog, so we just kind of have to find a place where we're able to bring a dog with us.
What's the name of your dog, Cody?
Pardon?
What's the name of your dog?
Her name's Daisy.
Daisy. Well, we wish you and Daisy and the rest of your family good luck. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
That's Cody Dunbar, who lives in Traders Cove with their cousin, recently moved there to start school. If you'd like to join the conversation, 1-888-662-6628. Jason D'Souza in Victoria. I'm looking out our studio window here, and I can tell you that in the last 10 minutes, this plume of smoke has just exploded. It is much bigger than it was even when we began our broadcast 45 minutes ago. So this situation here in West Kelowna is just really, it looks like getting started for the evening.
And what a moment that was a second ago to have Cody mention that firefighters just knocking on her door, letting her know that that area is now under an evacuation order. So our thanks to Cody for taking the time to walk us through all the things that must be going through her mind right now. Chris, I also just wanted to say, of course, we're province-wide broadcasting at this moment. Some updates from Drive BC that I'd like to bring to our listeners. Highway 1 is closed in both directions between Hope and Lytton. Once again, that's Highway 1 that's closed in both directions in Hope and in Lytton. You mentioned a moment ago, Chris, looking outside the window. We are province-wide, and for folks who have perhaps never been under an evacuation alert or an order, it is something that has become, unfortunately, all too common, especially in parts of the interior. What is that like, Chris?
I don't know. Because, Jason, despite the fact that I've lived in the Okanagan now for almost 15 years, I've never actually been under evacuation alert or order. But I certainly, my son is under evacuation alert right now, right on the edge of where that order is. And it's very stressful for people. We had a close call a few weeks ago where a fire popped over the hill near us. We weren't on alert, but I did pack a go bag, and you make some hard decisions. What are the things you need to take? What are the things you need to leave? What can you live without? And it turns out you can live without a lot. But there are some agonizing decisions, especially if there are children and pets involved, of course. And certainly this is a serious situation. People are checking their insurance policies this evening, preparing their properties, as they may not know until tomorrow what the situation is, with 6,000 properties on alert and 1,000 others on evacuation order. Jason, I want to go now to a different fire, as a matter of fact, into the Karamias area. The Crater Creek wildfire has prompted some new evacuation orders. Eric Thompson speaks for the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen. Now, this is to the southwest of where we've been focusing on this evening. Eric Thompson, good evening.
Good evening.
What's the latest from you?
Well, the regional district has just issued in the last couple of hours an expanded evacuation order. The order is for 6 properties, and that is in electoral area G. So that would be rural Karamias. And it includes the Suncatchers RV Park, Riverside Mobile Home Park, and the Lucky R Mobile Home Park. So right now there are a total of 19 properties on evacuation order, and of course some of those properties have multiple homes or residences. There are 189 properties on evacuation alert, and that evacuation alert was just issued a short time ago for the region as well. And you know, I should really quickly mention we've been following the situation in West Kelowna here, and we certainly want to offer our thoughts to everyone who is involved, because the scope of this fire, you know, from down in this region, I'm in Penticton right now, is frightening. They're both frightening fires, but certainly we're thinking about all of those residents who are out on evacuation order in that area as well.
Eric, do you know if any structures have been lost in the fire that you're watching?
Well, you may have seen one of the media outlets, Castanet, shared some video footage that a resident sent. And the challenge with structure loss is that it has to be confirmed. The structure loss has to be confirmed by the regional district. And there's a process in place for that, which includes getting eyes on. And in an area that's on evacuation order, that's almost impossible. And then from there, the homeowner has to be advised of what's happened. So at this point, it's very difficult to talk about structure loss and confirm anything because the information has not been verified. And there's always that concern too when somebody on social media says, I've heard about a structure lost, and the local government confirms it, but doesn't say where it is, because that information isn't finalized or isn't verified yet. And then everyone who's out on evacuation order thinks, well, maybe that's their home. So it's a difficult position to be in, and social media has certainly complicated it further.
We have been talking most of the evening to the Central Okanagan Regional District. If people are in your area and are worried, for example, about structures or evacuation alerts and orders, what's their first point of contact? What kinds of official channels should they be following?
Well, certainly BC Wildfire's website, bcwildfire.ca, is a good place to find anything out about the fire itself, what the fire is doing, where it's going, all the mapping that goes with it. But for anything with regard to evacuation alerts and orders, it would be emergency.rdos.bc.ca. The challenge as well there is that information has to be verified, and sometimes through the day there isn't new information to post, and people who are on evacuation order or alert are waiting to hear updates, and they're saying, well, we haven't heard anything. Even when there is no information to share, we certainly try to post as much as we can to just let people know we're here. We're still in the Emergency Operations Center at this hour and standing by in case the situation changes. There is another video update that we're doing on Friday, August 18th. It'll be at 2 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll include British Columbia Wildfire Service in that, and that will be an opportunity for the media to ask questions, for the public to watch on YouTube, and just to get an idea of what's happening with the fire. And I think the message, if I can just quickly say, is so important, is to be prepared. You've probably heard that many times today. And being prepared means that even if you're in an area that is not impacted by a wildfire, there are steps you can take to be prepared in case the situation changes. And of course, not contributing to any of the challenges that go with this, like stopping on the highway to take pictures in an area that's unsafe and those types of things. And I just want to say as well, while I have the moment, that I want to thank the media and CBC as well for all the help in getting the word out, because these are the times when people come together. There's always time afterwards to ask how things went and who could have done what, but this is the time to just make sure people have the information they need, and that's really been come to the forefront in this case.
Well, good luck through the night and into the next couple of days. Eric, we'll connect with you again for sure. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Eric Thompson speaks for the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen. Let's go now to the Fraser Valley. In the Boston Bar area, the Nahatlach fire has led to an evacuation order this evening. For more on that, we're joined by Jason Lum, who's the chair of the Fraser Valley Regional District. Jason, good evening.
Good evening.
What's the latest?
Well, right now our officials are on the call with the province, so we're working closely with EMCR and the BC Wildfire Service. So we have prepared a number of local evacuation orders in electoral area A, and we're monitoring the situation. This is the Nahatlach area and in area A. So the fire, as I understand it, is presently on the east side of the Fraser River, but the high winds that are gusting right now are definitely causing some concern.
What's the terrain like there, Jason?
Yeah, it's challenging terrain. So you've got like the whole Fraser Valley Regional District, you could just shy of 14,000 square kilometers. So you've got some of the most challenging terrain as you get up into the canyon and up into the mountain areas. So definitely some challenging terrain there. But, like I said, we're really working closely with BC Wildfire and EMCR, and they're sending crews in to kind of check out the situation and first and foremost, we're looking out for life safety and the folks that may reside or have recreational properties in the area.
Jason, if people need more information and they want reliable information, where can they get it?
Best thing right now is to monitor BC Wildfire, to monitor provincial channels, and also the Fraser Valley Regional District. So for us, anything within our electoral area, we put up information as we receive it on our website. We use the Alertable app as well. So for folks within Area A of the Regional District, you can get your information directly from us. Stuff out in the Crown area, we're relying on EMCR, the province, and BC Wildfire. So we have myself. I use the BC Wildfire app to monitor situation, and they're doing updates very frequently. And just as I'm on the call right now, I've just been notified that the fire has actually jumped the river. So I'm going to have to go, but we're going to continue obviously monitoring the situation very closely, and obviously our hearts go out to, and our thanks go out to all the hardworking firefighters that are going to be having a long night and a long couple of days here.
That's right. Jason, here. Thanks very much for joining us this evening. That's Jason Lum, chair of the Fraser Valley Regional District. As you heard him just say, that Nahatlatch fire has just jumped the Fraser River, so he's obviously on his way to handle that situation. Brady Strachan is back with us in West Kelowna. Good evening, Brady.
Hello, Chris.
What do people need to know tonight?
Okay, so emergency officials are telling everyone who is on evacuation alert to just be ready to go, to have everything that you need to leave at a moment's notice. We heard from the fire chief that they expect that there will be more evacuation orders as this fire progresses, as the winds change direction. So they're asking people on evacuation alert to pre-register with the Emergency Operations Service. And to pre-register. If you are asked to leave, they're asking you that you need to leave and not to try and stay back. It's a very aggressive fire that they're dealing with. Evacuees are told to go to the reception center to Royal LePage Place. That's near where City Hall is, the big hockey arena there. And if they can stay with friends or family, they're suggesting you do that. They're looking into a larger group lodging area for people that don't have a place to stay. Those are kind of the main takeaways here. I mean, it's a very dangerous fire situation, and they say it's going to be very lit up at night. They don't have any more air support on it, so people will see the fire and it will look like it's right down on the community. But they say, yes, they're there doing their best to protect structures.
Brady, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
CBC reporter Brady Strachan. Jason D'Souza has been with us all evening. Jason, your thoughts on just what you've heard tonight?
Well, first of all, my thanks to everyone who took the time in to email us, to call us, to let us know what's going through their minds this evening. Clearly, Chris, one of the things we've been hearing consistently is the fact that it is going to be a late night, a long night, a challenging night. I'll just end with a couple of the positive notes that we heard from the press conference today. No losses of life or injuries to any of the firefighters who are putting in, of course, extensive hours and tremendous work as well. We're going to be off air in just a few minutes, but I would encourage our listeners to continue to send us emails. I know you're going to be back at this, Chris, bright and early tomorrow morning on Daybreak South, so continue to send us emails, daybreaksouth@cbc.ca, daybreaksouth@cbc.ca. I'll be back with the whole province on a province-wide show of All Points West tomorrow afternoon starting at 3 p.m. But in the meantime, I hope everyone is staying safe out there. We are sending you all our best wishes.
Jason, thanks very much. I just want to reiterate some of the top-line information that we've been given by emergency officials this evening. There is an aggressive wildfire burning in the hills just above West Kelowna. It is now 1,100 hectares and growing fast. The wind is expected to be a problem overnight. Fire Chief Jason Brolin says it is a difficult night ahead. They remain gravely concerned about the danger this fire poses. There are 5,600 properties on evacuation alert. There are 1,000 properties on evacuation order. The chief of the West Kelowna Fire Department says those evacuation orders are likely to grow. As you heard Brady say, he's urging people who are on evacuation alert to be ready. If you haven't left already, you need to be ready to go. All the information, including interactive maps, the locations of emergency social services, you can find at cordemergency.ca. You've been listening to a CBC Radio special broadcast. This is a volatile night across southern BC. The winds are strong. Many fires are burning out of control. The wildfire in West Kelowna and hundreds of homes being evacuated. We're saying goodbye for the evening, but if you want to stay up to date on the latest, go to cbcnews.ca. Tonight at 11, you can see the latest on CBC television. Tomorrow morning, we'll be with you on your local morning radio show starting at 6 o'clock Pacific time. Our thanks to Jason D'Souza and all our reporters in the field for helping us this half hour. I'm Chris Walker. Thank you for listening.